In today's fast-paced world, solitude is often misunderstood. Society frequently associates being alone, especially in old age, with loneliness, isolation, or even sadness. But what if solitude is not something to fear, but rather a gateway to inner peace and self-discovery? Imagine a quiet morning where you sit by the window with a warm cup of tea, feeling the gentle sunlight on your face. There is no rush, no noise, only the rhythm of your breath and the tranquility of the present moment. This stillness is not emptiness. It is a space for reflection, wisdom, and deep fulfillment. At TT-Buddhism, we explore the profound teachings of Buddhism and how they can help us cultivate peace, mindfulness, and a fulfilling life. In this video, we will discuss an often overlooked aspect of aging, the beauty of living joyfully alone. While many believe that growing older means losing friends and feeling disconnected, Buddhism offers a different perspective. Solitude is not about loss, but about liberation. It is a time to embrace self-reliance, deepen our understanding of meaningful connections, and find true contentment within ourselves. Through Buddhist wisdom, we will explore how to shift our priorities, release social expectations, and redefine what friendship and connection mean in later years. By the end of this video, you may discover that solitude is not a burden, but a gift, one that allows you to truly know yourself, embrace the present, and find lasting joy. Let's embark on this journey together. The shift in priorities. As we age, our priorities naturally begin to change. In youth, friendships often define our identity, providing a sense of belonging and validation. We seek approval, chase social status, and measure our worth by the number of people in our lives. However, Buddhism teaches us that the self is impermanent. What we cling to as our identity is merely an illusion. Over time, we realize that what once seemed urgent, the need to be constantly surrounded by others, gradually fades. Instead, a deeper longing emerges, the longing for peace. In our younger years, friendships often act as mirrors, reflecting back an image of who we think we are. We collect relationships, believing that the more connections we have, the more complete we become. But as we grow older, we begin to question whether this external noise is necessary at all. We discover that true fulfillment does not come from the number of people around us, but from how deeply we can sit in stillness with ourselves. The urgency to be seen, to constantly engage, and to fill every silence with conversation begins to soften. In its place, quiet contentment emerges. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises from craving and attachment, and friendships, like everything else, are impermanent. They change, fade, and evolve. When we stop grasping for connection out of fear of being alone, we allow ourselves to experience relationships more freely, without expectation or obligation. This shift in priorities does not mean we stop caring for others, but rather that we engage with people in a more authentic way. By investing our energy wisely and choosing quality over quantity, we find that solitude is not loneliness, but a space of deep self-awareness and peace. The freedom of self-reliance. One of the greatest lessons in Buddhist philosophy is self-reliance. The Buddha himself left behind his palace, his family, and his wealth to embark on a solitary journey toward enlightenment. He understood that attachment breeds suffering, and that true peace can only be found within. As we grow older, we begin to realize how much of our lives have been spent trying to please others, fitting into social molds, maintaining friendships out of obligation, and seeking validation through external relationships. but aging grants us a rare and precious gift, the freedom to let go of these expectations and live on our own terms. At first, the idea of self-reliance may feel unsettling. After all, we have spent decades surrounded by people, engaging in conversations and navigating social expectations. The thought of stepping away from these patterns can seem unnatural, but with time, a realization dawns. Self-reliance is not about rejecting companionship. It is about liberation. It is the freedom to prioritize inner peace over external approval. It is the freedom to simply be, without the constant pull of social validation. Think about the moments in life when you have felt most at ease. Perhaps a quiet morning with only the sound of birds outside your window, or an afternoon spent lost in thought while watching the waves roll in. These moments were peaceful not because of who was with you, but because of the space they provided for stillness. That stillness, that ability to be present without distraction, is the essence of self-reliance. When we embrace this way of living, we no longer fear solitude, we welcome it as a path to true contentment and inner strength. Quality over quantity in friendships. Buddhism teaches that everything in life is impermanent, including friendships. People come and go, relationships evolve, and some connections naturally fade over time. Rather than mourning these changes, we should celebrate the moments we shared and the lessons they brought. As we grow older, we begin to understand a fundamental truth. It is not the number of people in our lives that matters, but the depth of the connections we cultivate. A single, heartfelt conversation can hold more meaning than years of superficial interaction. In our youth, we often chase friendships for validation, believing that having more friends equates to greater happiness. We attend social gatherings, fill our schedules with plans, and surround ourselves with people to avoid feeling alone. But as time passes, we realize that true companionship is not about how many people we know. It is about the sincerity and authenticity of our interaction. A deep, meaningful relationship with one or two people is far more fulfilling than a large circle of acquaintances who barely know us. Zen teachings emphasize the importance of being fully present in everything we do. There is a saying, when drinking tea, drink tea. This means that whatever we engage in, we should do it with complete awareness and intention. The same applies to friendships. Instead of scattering our energy across many surface-level relationships, we should invest in those that truly nourish our souls. Imagine sitting with an old friend over a simple meal. No need for grand gestures, no pressure to impress. Just the comfort of being truly seen and understood. When we shift our focus from quantity to quality, we free ourselves from the exhaustion of maintaining unnecessary relationships. Instead, we embrace the richness of authentic connections, finding peace in simplicity. The beauty of solitude and reflection. Solitude is often misunderstood as loneliness, but in reality, it is a sacred space for self-discovery and inner peace. In Buddhist tradition, monks retreat into silence not because they despise the world, but because they seek to understand it more deeply. The same principle applies to old age. Rather than filling every moment with distractions, we can embrace silence as an opportunity for reflection. When we sit in solitude, we finally have time to process our lives, accept our past, and let go of regrets. In this stillness, we discover a profound truth. We are complete, even when alone. There is something deeply sacred about being alone with one's thoughts. In the constant noise of life, moments of silence are rare and often overlooked. But within that silence lies the opportunity for growth. When we step away from distractions, we can reflect on the choices we have made, the lessons we have learned, and the person we have become. This self-awareness brings a sense of clarity and peace that cannot be found in external relationships. Many spiritual seekers throughout history have found their greatest insights in solitude. The Buddha himself meditated alone beneath the Bodhi tree before attaining enlightenment. Great poets, philosophers, and sages have all turned inward to find truth. Solitude is not a void. It is a sanctuary where wisdom flourishes. Rather than fearing solitude, we should cherish it. It is a chance to reconnect with ourselves, to nurture creativity, and to embrace the present moment without distraction. True happiness does not come from the presence of others, but from the ability to be at peace with oneself. The importance of family and community. As friendships naturally change and fade over time, the significance of family and community often grows stronger. This is not about dependency, but about embracing the role of wisdom keepers, mentors, and guiding lights for future generations. Buddhism emphasizes interdependence, the understanding that we are all connected in an intricate web of cause and effect. While solitude is valuable, so too is the ability to give selflessly, to share wisdom, and to nurture the bonds that truly matter. Family, whether biological or chosen, provides a space where unconditional love and deep-rooted connections flourish. A simple conversation with a grandchild, sharing stories of perseverance, or gently guiding them through life's uncertainties, these are invaluable gifts that carry immeasurable weight. In these moments, we see the continuity of our existence, a ripple of impact that extends far beyond our own years. Community also plays a vital role in sustaining a sense of belonging. Whether it is a familiar face at the local market, a kind neighbor, or a spiritual group gathering for meditation, these connections offer warmth and purpose. Unlike friendships in youth, which often revolve around shared activities or ambitions, connections in later years are defined by authenticity and depth. Moreover, the act of giving, whether through wisdom, presence, or simply offering an ear, becomes a source of fulfillment. In Buddhism, the practice of dana, generosity, is one of the most revered virtues. Giving without expectation purifies the heart, dissolves the ego, and fosters a boundless sense of peace. In the end, family and community are not just about relationships. They are about the imprint we leave on the world. Through the wisdom we share, the love we extend, and the moments we cherish, we contribute to a legacy that continues long after we are gone. Letting go of social expectation. Throughout life, we are shaped by external pressures, what we should achieve, how we should behave, and even who we should surround ourselves with. From a young age, we are taught that social interaction is a sign of success, that being surrounded by many friends is proof of a meaningful life. But Buddhism teaches that suffering arises when we cling to societal expectations. Old age presents a rare opportunity to step away from the noise of the world and live on our own terms. For much of our lives, we chase recognition, seeking validation through our social circles. But at some point, a realization dawns. None of it truly defines us. Our worth is not measured by the number of invitations we receive or how socially active we appear. True peace is found not in appeasing others, but in honoring ourselves. When we stop conforming to outdated ideals of what a social life should look like, we make space for authenticity. Letting go of social expectations does not mean withdrawing from the world. It means engaging with it in a way that aligns with our true selves. Perhaps it means choosing meaningful solitude over forced interactions. Maybe it's about setting boundaries, prioritizing quality over quantity. It could even be as simple as letting go of the guilt that comes with saying no to obligations that no longer serve us. Buddhism reminds us that suffering comes from attachment. When we tie our self-worth to social validation, we place our happiness in external hands. But when we release these expectations, we open the door to a new kind of contentment, one rooted in presence, self-acceptance, and inner stillness. True freedom is not about meeting social standards. It is about finding peace within ourselves. Redefining connection. Aging brings changes in physical health, mobility, and energy levels, but these are not limitations. They are invitations to redefine how we experience connection. Society often equates connection with large gatherings, frequent outings, and constant social interaction, but in reality, true connection exists in the smallest of moments. A warm smile exchanged with a stranger, the laughter of a child echoing through a quiet afternoon, or the simple pleasure of a handwritten letter. These fleeting moments often hold more weight than an entire evening of forced conversation. Modern technology also offers new ways to stay connected without exhausting ourselves. A heartfelt video call with a loved one, a meaningful message, or even shared silence over the phone can create deep bonds without requiring physical presence. Rather than overwhelming ourselves with social obligations, we can choose interactions that are nourishing and reciprocal. Connection is not about quantity. It is about the depth of engagement. Buddhism teaches us to embrace change and adapt without resistance. If our bodies slow down, we do not fight against it, we move with it. If our ability to travel diminishes, we find fulfillment in the present moment, in the space we already inhabit. True connection does not require movement. It requires presence. So instead of lamenting what we can no longer do, we can ask, how can I experience connection in a way that aligns with my current reality? Perhaps it is deepening the relationships we already have, rather than seeking new ones. Maybe it is fostering a connection with nature, feeling the rhythm of life in every breath of wind and every rustling leaf. By redefining connection, we release the pressure to conform to outdated expectations and embrace the depth of a life well lived. Embracing the gift of your own company. At the heart of Buddhism is the understanding that suffering arises from craving, longing for what we do not have, and resisting the present moment as it is. But when we learn to sit with ourselves, to fully embrace our own presence, we unlock a joy that is unshakable. This is the kind of joy that does not depend on external circumstances, the kind that emerges from within like a quiet, radiant light. Old age is not a time of loss. It is a time of profound gain. It is a return to the self, an opportunity to live fully and authentically, unburdened by the expectations of others. For much of our lives, we shape ourselves to fit into society's mold, playing roles, maintaining relationships out of obligation, striving to be someone others expect us to be. But in solitude, those masks fall away, and what remains is the raw, unfiltered truth of who we are. There is a sacred beauty in this process. The silence that once felt daunting becomes a sanctuary. The stillness that once seemed empty transforms into a space of infinite depth. we begin to listen, to truly listen to the quiet wisdom that has been within us all along. Some may fear that embracing solitude means giving up on human connection, but this could not be further from the truth. When we are at peace within ourselves, we engage with others from a place of authenticity rather than need. Relationships become lighter, freer, and more meaningful, no longer weighed down by expectations or dependency. In solitude, we do not lose ourselves. We finally find ourselves. And in that discovery, we realize that we were never truly alone to begin with. Conclusion: finding peace in solitude. As we reach the later years of life, society often tells us that solitude is something to fear, a sign of isolation or loss. But through the wisdom of Buddhism, we come to see it differently. Solitude is not emptiness. It is a space for self-discovery, for deep reflection, and for true inner peace. It is in these quiet moments that we learn to embrace ourselves fully, not as who we were expected to be, but as who we truly are. Living joyfully alone does not mean rejecting relationships. It means engaging with them with greater authenticity. By shifting our priorities, embracing self-reliance, and letting go of unnecessary social expectations, we create space for deeper and more meaningful connections. We move beyond the need for validation and find fulfillment in the simplicity of life itself. Instead of measuring happiness by the number of people around us, we measure it by the quality of our inner peace. Instead of fearing solitude, we see it as an opportunity to reconnect with our essence. In this way, old age is not a decline, but a return to stillness, wisdom, and the quiet joy of simply being. At TT-Buddhism, we believe that true happiness comes from within. If this message resonates with you, we invite you to embrace this journey of self-discovery, mindfulness, and peaceful living. Thank you for being here, for taking the time to reflect, and for walking this path with us. If you found value in this video, please like, share, and subscribe to help us continue spreading Buddhist wisdom. May you find peace in solitude and fulfillment in the present moment.